russosbrand.com, where the pros are the pros.
We know Eric Bischoff has been very critical of AEW, and a lot of the things he says are things we've said on these shows, although he puts them in a more colorful manner, I think, than we do. But we heard a clip earlier this.
He's awesome. He gets stiff. You know what I mean?
We heard a clip earlier this week, Vince, you and I did, of where Brian Alvarez claimed this is because Bischoff is on the WWE payroll. So Bischoff responded to this, and he says on his podcast, "I don't think I've ever met Brian Alvarez, but what a dumb little Here's how stupid he is. I just did 2 WWE episodes, one on NXT and one for WWE on the A&E network. And then 48 hours later, or 24 hours later, whatever it was, I'm on an MLW show, who, by the way, was in a lawsuit with WWE. I don't have a written agreement with anybody. I don't even have a handshake deal with anybody. If they call and I'm available and it sounds fun, I'll show up. Perfect example of guys like Brian Alvarez, the needy little elf, and his partner Dave Meltzer talking out of their ass when they don't know what they're talking about ever."
You know, with all due respect, because first of all, let me. Eric did an entire show yesterday because somebody sent me the link. He did an entire show yesterday of how Vince Russo wanted to be him. Eric, let me make one thing perfectly clear. I literally would rather be Satan himself than you.
Why?
So but get over yourself, bro. Never at any point in my life did I inspire to be you. Second of all, so what is Eric claiming? He did the NXT spots for free? They paid you, bro. You're on the payroll. If you got,
I think what he's saying is he's not a salary guy.
What he's looking for is a freaking loophole because they paid you. They paid you to be on their show. And don't tell me, wait a minute, hold on. Don't tell me, bro, if they paid you to be on their show and gave you a nice payday, don't sit there and tell me you wouldn't want to be on the show again and get another nice payday, which means that you're going to be very, very biased in what you say on your show. Period. End of story.
Everyone is biased in some manner.
I'm not biased at all. I don't work for anybody. I am not biased. I don't like you. I don't like you. That might be, be a little unbiased that way because it's a one-way relationship between you and I. But I don't work for anybody. I am unbiased. No, I don't take checks
for your audience.
That's right. That's right. Right. Yeah.
You know as well as I do. Eric's not going to bullshit anybody, especially at this point in his life. He doesn't need to. He's got loads of FU money.
Now let's not, Al. You may assume so, but I know differently, Al. But anyway, that's besides the point. Go ahead.
I think he's still financially doing okay. And financially doing okay to where, he's not to the point where if someone comes up and they go, "Hey, we'll pay you to do X, Y, Z," and he goes, "Well, that ain't bad. Okay, I'll do it." Who can blame him?
I'm not blaming him, but don't say you're not on their payroll. You're on. They paid you, bro. You're on the payroll. They paid you.
No, he's not. And he's not in the same manner as what they're implying. They're implying that they've bought his favor and they've bought, his opinion. And I don't think Eric's that type of guy. We both know him. And I don't think we've ever seen that he's that type of guy that will do that kind of thing. I think he'll call a spade a spade. And if he's paid by WWE, that's not going to change the fact that if WWE is doing something, he's not going to say.
I disagree with you. I disagree. And let's take Eric out of it because I don't want. I am biased. I don't like the dude. I've never liked the dude, so I am biased. Let's take Eric out of this.
Why don't you like him? I don't understand.
Let's take because in the time I worked with Eric from day one, Eric made the conscious decision to be an absolute asshole. So my entire career, all the time that I worked with the dude,
that time
he made a decision to be an asshole. That was his decision to be that way and treat me a certain way. And that's why I don't like the guy. Since then, I've said publicly 1 billion times, because all the guy does is go on his show and bash me and do shows about me. And I want it to be him. And I don't have a creative bone in my body and yada, yada, yada. And on multiple occasions, I've said, brother, you got a problem with me? Do a show with me, man. Let's have a conversation. And I've said the same thing to Jim Cornette. You guys want to continue to talk trash about me? Talk to me to my face. Have a conversation with me. I am open, bro. I offered to have a pay-per-view with Jim Cornette live with every single penny going to the Cauliflower Alley Club, and Jim Cornette said no. Okay, every penny going to the Cauliflower Alley Club.
See that.
Yeah, and my point is, and what's Eric's excuse? Why am I going to have a conversation with Vince? All he's going to do is lie about things. Yeah, Eric, I'm a freaking 64-year-old grandfather. I'm going to lie about shit that happened in wrestling 25 years ago. I got nothing else better to do. Take Eric out of the equation. Put in Bully Ray. Because Bully Ray's now doing work for NXT, and Bully Ray is also, on Busted Open, right, where he's supposed to be unbiased. Right. Al, you can, and this is nothing against the individuals. This isn't even against Eric. Okay. Anybody in that spot, if WWE is paying you for a gig, and it's good for your exposure, and they're paying you well, you're going to want another gig and another gig and another gig. Yeah. And so therefore, when you are doing a podcast, subconsciously, when the WWE comes up, subconsciously, you are not saying what you really want to say, because let's face it, if I could get another payday from them, it would be nice. So you're not going to say what you really, truly, honestly want to say. Yeah. And that's right. That's with anybody. That's with anybody.
That's not what Brian Alvarez is saying. Brian Alvarez is basically claiming that, as opposed to what you're saying, Brian Alvarez is inferring, like what we infer in regards to Meltzer, that he's directly on the payroll to literally paint as positive a picture as possible.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's that. I don't think he's that. But I don't.
That's what Alvarez is trying to imply.
Right.
And I don't think we've ever seen that degree or that type of bias by either Bischoff or even Bully. Hey, I get it. They're getting. They're not going to bite the hand that feeds them. They're going to reflect positively as much as they can.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
But to say they're on the payroll, it's not like, where it's so blatant with Meltzer.
I agree.
And where it's clear, if he's not on the payroll, he should be. Let's face it. I mean, it is blatantly obvious that his bread's buttered by, AEW or the Bucks, in his personal relationship or whatever, because now he has a very slanted view to AEW, to where he defends and fights and argues with anyone who has a dissenting opinion about AEW in any manner, whether it be, attendance numbers or pay-per-view buys or it's television viewers. Look, you say anything negative about AEW, and Dave Meltzer's immediately launches a defense on their behalf.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I want to
be on the payroll.
Yeah. I do
a bit of a bias because you're not going to bite the hand that feeds you.
Right.
Hey.
Yeah.
I don't blame anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. But, I'm not. Yeah.
And I'm sure they're not trying to paint themselves as if there's some unbiased source of information. Like, all I do is I just report. That's all I do. I have no bias. I have no favoritism. Horseshit. You're a human. So of course you're going to have a bias to some degree or another. But if you go out of your way, now I'm a staunch, like,
I agree. I agree. And I don't think he's doing that. I want to be clear about that. I don't think he's on the payroll to put them over. That's not what I'm saying. I do think it's a conflict of interest. I do think it's if
Alvarez is implying when he says he thinks Bischoff's on the payroll.
Right.
That's a whole different world.
I agree. But I do believe you are biased if you are working for a company and you are going to soft soak what you really think. That's all that I'm saying.
You're not going to be as harsh or direct and as critical.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
In bed with.
Yes.
Than you are a stranger. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. But
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
The same point. You're not on the payroll. You're not like.
Right. We agree.
Hey, it's blatantly black and white, obvious. This isn't good. It's not good. This is bad.
But yet you're on the Russo brand payroll and you still bury me. How's that work?
How do I bury you?
How's that work?
I put you over all the time. I'm one of the few people that go around and put you over and tell people how instrumental you were.
What about Christmas
during
gifts?
That era?
What about Christmas? What about a Christmas gift?
Huh?
What about a Christmas gift?
What are you, a child?
There's two things with Bischoff here that I think this is a clear narrative from Alvarez, regardless of the biases, because first off, what Eric is saying is it was a payday. I'm not on the payroll, and there's a difference there. He's not getting paid weekly by them. He got paid.
I agree with that. Yes.
And the second thing is this is what Alvarez and Meltzer do. We can dismiss Bischoff's claims because he got paid by WWE, so he's on the payroll. So you shouldn't take anything he says seriously, even though Vince, you would agree. You agree with every single thing that Bischoff has said about AEW. So I don't think, even maybe if there's a subconscious bias to maybe be more favorable towards WWE. I don't think that has to do with his criticisms for AEW.
Eric doesn't need to bury the AEW for WWE's sake. AEW is burying themselves like that. He's not doing. WWE could care less.
And let's be honest. I mean, to Jeff's point, it does Alvarez good to discredit Bischoff. Because the more he can discredit anyone else, the more hopefully everyone will turn to Alvarez and Meltzer for their information.
Right.
They're the only credible source. And to a point, they're consciously doing that for a reason. And that is to purposely discredit any other news source so they can claim that they're the only ones that you can really turn to for real, credible information.
Yeah.
That only helps them. But again, if anyone, it's the pot calling the kettle black, I think.
Right. I agree.
Anyone is on anyone's payroll. Meltzer, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so clear that he either has some kind of personal bias that just out of fandom, or he's getting paid to be a staunch defender of AEW. And, Alvarez is his partner. So, is Alvarez cut in on that deal? Or is Alvarez influenced by Meltzer and his fandom? And now he, ipso facto, is kind of now, his credibility in regards to the reporting kind of hampered. Again, I don't find, we've both known Bischoff for years, and I just don't see in Eric's opinions, I don't see them being colored in any way against AEW or towards WWE in any way other than just basic black and white business practices.